Hi, this is a video tour of the Complete Writing Program. When I first started teaching, I was teaching middle school English, and I was completely overwhelmed when it came to writing instruction with how much there was to teach writing. And the lessons I was doing, they just weren't translating into better writing when it came to their bigger essays and their research reports. So I became obsessed with one thing, and that was how to get every single writing technique I was teaching and how to get the students to put it in their writing and how to do it in the quickest way possible. So through years and years of trial and error, I finally put together this program that was really efficient at teaching writing. And before I knew it, teachers from other classrooms and teachers from other schools started coming and asking me for my worksheets and how I did this and that. And before long, it really became the Complete Writing Program. And from there, I started getting paid to train districts how to teach their teachers how to teach writing. And that eventually became createbetterwriters.com. And the flagship book was the Complete Writing Program. It's a really powerful program. It's a way to help you get all the pieces of writing into your students' writing, and it does it as quickly as possible. So let me show you how it works. Here's the problem every writing teacher faces. Writing isn't just one skill. It's a puzzle made of many pieces. One piece is writing organized paragraphs. Another piece is using a variety of sentence structure. Another is using strong vocabulary. Another is descriptive writing. Then there's grammar and punctuation. So how do you get your students to use every piece of writing without forgetting all the past pieces that you've taught? Well, that's where the Complete Writing Program comes in. It gives you lesson plans for the 5 areas of great writing. And it shows your students how to put all the pieces of great writing together until those pieces just flow out of them naturally. So let me start by showing you Chapter 2, because I've actually expanded Chapter 2 into 2 books, which are both free, by the way, when you get the Complete Writing Program. These 2 books are How to Teach the Paragraph and How to Teach the 5-Paragraph Essay. Several times in this video, I'm going to say that this one idea is worth the price of the book all by itself. And this is one of those times. Those 2 books, How to Teach the Paragraph and How to Teach the 5-Paragraph Essay, teach your students a simple trick to write strong, powerful paragraphs. And all they're going to have to do is learn how to set up their paper. And the paper is going to show them exactly what to do. And once you go over it and the students practice several times, they're going to have the routine for writing a paragraph burned into their minds. And then it's going to literally take a minute to transition into teaching the 5-paragraph essay. They're just going to use that same trick and expand on it a little bit. And within a minute, your students will be going from writing strong, powerful paragraphs to writing strong, well-organized 5-paragraph essays. And they'll be able to do it without memorizing anything except a simple paper setup. From that paper setup, all they have to do is just fill in the blanks. Also, you'll see later how this paper setup actually becomes like a bucket where they can drop all the lessons that you've taught and all the lessons that they've ever learned. They could drop it into this paper setup, and they'll have a way of getting all their creative ideas down on that paper setup. So when they actually write, great writing will just flow out of them because they have so many great ideas already right there on the paper. So whether you're starting with 3rd graders who are new to writing, or maybe you're working with emerging writers, or whether you're working with high schoolers or adults who just need a little help with writing, you're going to start here with the paragraph and the 5-paragraph essay using that one simple trick, because everything is going to build from there. All the pieces of writing are going to end up on that paper setup. And that's what this book is going to do. And again, both these books are free with the Complete Writing Program. They are the foundation of the program, and everything else you teach builds on top of that. So I just showed you Chapter 2 because that's really the backbone of the program. You start there, you start teaching the paragraph and the 5-paragraph essay. using that simple trick. Now let's back up and let's look at chapter 1. Honestly, this chapter alone is worth the price of the whole book. It's going to save you hours correcting papers while giving students meaningful feedback on every writing assignment that you give them. So you don't have to correct every piece of writing every time you give an assignment. So chapter 1 shows you how to train your students how to assess each other's writing. And because they've learned the trick, because they know exactly how a paragraph in an essay are supposed to be structured and organized, your students will know exactly what to look for when they trade their paragraphs and essays with each other and can make intelligent comments about what they've seen and maybe what's been missing. And they could comment on how well the things are done. And more importantly, they're going to be seeing examples of writing from each other, which is going to reinforce your lessons and just give them more examples of writing. And they're going to start absorbing the styles from the students around them, which will make them a more complete writer. So the two biggest reasons for having your students assess each other's writing is, first, it's going to save you an enormous amount of time. You don't have to give the students feedback on every piece of writing. Your students are going to give and get meaningful feedback to and from each other on how well their writing's organized, on the descriptive language that's been used, on how well they put vocabulary into their writing, the sentence structure, and do they have intelligent types of sentences. They'll review the grammar and punctuation and whether the writing was interesting. So the students are going to assess the 5 things that great writers do, and all the time that'll be reviewing those 5 things to themselves. When the students conference with each other, you'll actually hear your own lessons being repeated within the classroom. It's really a mind-blowing experience when you hear your own words being repeated in the conferences throughout the classroom. The power of having the students assess each other's writing really can't be overstated. Now, here's chapter 3, and we're going to start getting into some of the more specific lessons. Chapter 3 is about descriptive writing. The second thing that great writers do is they use descriptive writing. We'll use the classic phrase, show not tell, and the students get to know that phrase very well. It's on the rubric, and I even have posters in the room with different show not tell lessons that we're doing during the year so they can reference it while they write. Especially before you do any of these lessons, make sure you show the students the rubric again and point out, hey, if you incorporate these lessons that you're doing, your writing score for descriptive writing is going to go higher and your writing score will go higher because your writing skills are getting better. So this right here is one of my favorite lessons, show not tell excited. It's a way to get students, instead of just saying somebody is excited, have them show, not tell. What you do on this lesson is you have a couple of students come up and they act out being excited. And the class, as the kid is acting it out, will start writing down things that they see, things that they hear. What do they imagine the person's feeling? And you just start making lists of things that they see and hear. And then you share it with the class. And before you know it, you have dozens of ideas for how to describe somebody who's excited. And then you give them this worksheet and you have them add the list of phrases you see here. And if there's anything that hasn't come up, they add it to their list. Then after you've made the list of different phrases for being excited, what you're going to do is you're going to read that story to them, and you're going to tell them at some point you're going to stop the story when something exciting happens, and they're going to have to write about what happens. And the story is built in a way that when you get to that part of the story, the students are going to want to write the story. So in this case, there's a story about a student who enters a lottery, and the lottery is for a 1-hour free shopping spree at a toy store. They can grab all the toys they want in 1 hour. In the story, the kid gets a ticket and you start reading off the numbers. And right at the moment where the kid wins the lottery, you tell them, okay, right. Tell me, how do you feel? And as they're writing, you're reminding them, don't finish the story. Tell me how you feel. You just won the lottery. And the students are so excited about writing that after 10 minutes, you have to cut them off to finish the lesson because they don't want to write and they're just writing pages. So you'll stop and you'll let the students read their paragraphs to the class. You'll let them read them to each other. And then the next day, you might have them write the entire story again and include that paragraph. They could revise it and clean it up and include a paragraph that they just did the day before and then finish the story. And then once again, let the students read the paragraphs to each other and they just have a blast reading those stories. So it's really an excellent lesson. And there's several just like it with emotions and stories to go along with them. And there's more lessons like that, but on different topics. Here's another show not tell lesson that's fantastic. It shows the students how to describe characters. Instead of the students saying that a character was a bully or a character was a whiner, students have the characters say and do things that those characters would do. And the first time I did this, one of my fourth grade students wrote a story she titled Samantha and the Four Weirdos based on Snow White. And it was about one character who had a cold and was always sneezing, and another character would pass out every time somebody sneezed, and all kinds of weird situations would happen where it was just a really bad time for the person to sneeze, which would cause the other person to pass out. And it was a big hit. We ended up reading the story to the class several times, and the student became a hero for writing such a clever story. Those are just two of the lessons from this chapter on descriptive writing. But let me quickly show you a few more. There are excellent lessons on describing the setting. I could go on and on about those, where the students get pictures and they have to imagine that they're in that setting and write down lists of things they hear, things they smell, things they feel. And then they have to build a story. Okay, let's say a story is happening. You're starting a story in that setting. Don't tell me the whole story. Just tell me about the people arriving in this setting. What are they seeing? What are they hearing? What are they smelling? What are they feeling? Another lesson is descriptive writing in poems. The students will use descriptive words they've collected to write poems. They can illustrate the poems and make videos where they read the poems while the pictures are flashing. And here's a list of descriptive words. There are several lists like this. And the students keep these lists in their writing folder. And you could use the list when you do journal assignments. You have the students take out the list and just use several of the words. Let them pick 5 words from the list and write them in sentences. There's a lot of good stuff here. So let's move on to chapter 4, building student vocabulary. Chapter 4 is filled with a lot of powerful vocabulary strategies, but it doesn't just have lists of words to memorize. These lessons are designed to help you get the most out of any vocabulary unit you do. And once again, you're going to have the students break out their rubrics, show them the rubric number 3. If they really pay attention to these vocabulary lessons, they'll internalize more good vocabulary. And these are words that they can start putting in their writing, and it's only going to make their writing get stronger. So here's the one I'd start with. It's the one I use all the time. I call it power vocabulary. And it's based on the idea that the average person needs to see and understand a word 36 times before it sticks into their long-term memory. Some words even take longer. This routine gives them a jump start on that. The students will see the words, they'll hear the words, and they'll make the words into a game that gets them hyper-focused on the words and the definitions. So you can pause and see the steps in there, but eventually they're going to see and hear the words and definitions so many times, they're really off to a good start for internalizing those words. Here's the picture dictionary. And what happens is the students learn a trick that will help them memorize the word and the definition at the same time. So they do a picture that combines the word and the definition, and it helps the students get that definition into their minds very quickly. It's just a basic mnemonic device, but it's really powerful. The next item here is let me count the ways. The students take a simple word like walk and learn more specific words that help them paint a better picture with their words. And with that Let Me Count the Ways, there's an additional 5-week vocabulary lesson plan that'll have the students doing one word every week. That'll have 5 strong vocabulary words attached to it. At the end of those 5 weeks, there's a test that the students will get where they have 25 words that they've been working on, and you'll be able to see just how well those words have made their way into the students' minds. Now, moving on to one of the most popular chapters in the complete writing program is chapter 5, and this is the chapter on writing tricks. And if you're tired of reading the same boring sentences from your students, chapter 5 is for you. When I was trying to get my students to write more interesting sentences, anytime I saw an interesting sentence, I looked at what made that sentence interesting, and I gave it a name. I called it a trick. I made a worksheet for it, and I'd start having the students practice that kind of sentence. And pretty soon I had a bank of writing tricks that I could give to the students and require that they put these tricks into their writing. And it worked beautifully. I started giving them as journal assignments. I'd give them just mini assignments where, okay, I want to see these 4 tricks in this paragraph. And the students started internalizing these writing tricks. Before I knew it, they had a variety of sentence structure, which every state in the country has a standard that says students need to learn to use a variety of sentence structure. And it just happened by accident. So here's one that I use all the time. It's called dialogue. And the students not only learn to use dialogue in their writing, they learn how to punctuate it correctly, which is really tricky because punctuating dialogue has a lot of nuance to it. So the added benefit here is not only are the students writing stronger sentences, they're learning punctuation and grammar at the same time, which translates into better state test scores. Because once my students started doing these tricks, my punctuation scores went through the roof. Here's another trick called appositives, and I use this one all the time with science and social studies because an example might be Mr. Dye, comma, my 5th grade teacher, comma, taught me to write appositives. So anytime you need to clarify who or what something is, you surround it in commas, and that's called an appositive. So in science and history, you're constantly giving terms when you're writing of things that the average person wouldn't know. So using an appositive is a quick way to explain what something is, because like in my example, nobody would know who Mr. Dye was unless I told them using an appositive. So if you're going to mention a pharaoh or a famous leader in history or a science term, just throwing in a comma, a little description of it, and a comma, and you're able to move on, and you don't have to waste an entire sentence explaining who or what that thing was. Again, when they assess each other's writing, number 4, they're going to check for writing tricks. What was the quality of their students' sentences? And the students will recognize the writing tricks in each other's writing, and they'll also recognize if there are no writing tricks. Very quickly, here's a few more writing tricks for you to look at. There are tricks on parts of speech. There's one on verbs. There's one on prepositional phrases. There's writing tricks on figurative language. There's similes and metaphors. There's idioms. And there's more on figurative language. And again, your students are going to be using these on a regular basis well beyond the worksheets, because you're going to require that the students put these writing tricks in their bucket, the paper setup that you taught at the very beginning of the year. That's where these lessons on writing tricks and vocabulary and descriptive writing, that's where those things are going to land. Finally, this chapter on writing tricks was so popular that I added even more tricks and more ways to get the students to internalize them. I made it into a second book called Writing Tricks Plus. So you can get that book, or you could even bundle it with this book, and you'll have a wealth of writing tricks that you could pass on to your students. Okay, I'm going to start wrapping up this tour, going over chapters 6, 7, and 8. The first 5 chapters lay the foundation of a complete writing program. Chapters 6, 7, and 8 are filled with more ideas than you can possibly use an entire year. And they're bonus lessons that you could just kind of throw in whenever you have time for them. So first, there's several lessons on spelling routines. Here's the start of a spelling routine on plurals. And to add on to spelling, here's a unit on Greek and Latin roots. Because if the students learn the spelling of the Greek and Latin roots, that's a hint for spelling a little more complicated words. Like when they learn Benny means good, suddenly words like benefit and beneficial, instead of spelling it B-E-N-I, benefit, they know, oh, Ben-E means good, B-E-N-E. Not to mention, if they know Benny means good, then all the words that have Benny in it that mean good, just learning that one root is a bridge to learning dozens of vocabulary words. So there's a section that shows you how I keep my writing folders. And I can't stress enough how important it is to keep a writing folder. The students will have all the lessons and worksheets that you've taught, samples of the paper setups, worksheets to go back and refer to. When you do journal assignments, you just have them open their writing folder. And there's the worksheet they could use to do their journal. It saves you a lot of time and trouble, and it's something they can take with them to the next grade and beyond. Here's a really good resource. It's a sample lesson plan for the entire year. There's so much to teach. So I created this sample lesson plan. So if you're not really sure where to start, you could look at this and use it as a guide or a template. There's projects that show you from beginning to end how to teach students to write a story, a narrative, and how to put in show not tell setting and descriptive vocabulary. These are lesson plans that I taught multiple times, so I just threw them in here. Again, there's more in the complete writing program than you could possibly teach in a year. And considering all that you're getting here, I said earlier, one thing is worth the price of the entire book. This book is really inexpensive. If you've ever shopped for writing curriculum, you know that. So you're really getting a lot of bang for your buck with this writing program. And for those of you who have the same students for multiple years, like special day class teachers or homeschool teachers, the value of this program is just off the charts. So to wrap up this video tour of the Complete Writing Program, if you want to supercharge what the Complete Writing Program does, you can add standards-based grammar. It's a daily grammar routine that's designed to feed directly into the writing program you just saw. The Complete Writing Program organizes their writing, and standards-based grammar gives that organized writing a voice, precise grammar, varied structure, and polished mechanics, and it's designed to flow right into what you're doing with the Complete Writing Program. Again, it's inexpensive enough that you could buy it for its individual units, but powerful enough that you could use it as your daily grammar program. So I highly recommend checking that out. So that's the Complete Writing Program. Remember, when you get the Complete Writing Program, it also comes with the free digital ebook for how to teach the paragraph, and it comes with the free how to teach the 5-paragraph essay. And you can even bundle these books with some of our other writing books and really supercharge your writing. For example, you could bundle it with the 4-book bundle, which adds the research report, the 5-book bundle, which adds writing tricks plus, the 6-book bundle, which adds standards-based grammar, an excellent step-by-step program for teaching grammar and punctuation. And we even offer a homeschool bundle that includes the Writing Action Plan, which is a pacing guide that helps homeschool teachers start at any age, any grade level, any ability level, and they can take as much time as they need and make sure their students have strong, powerful writing by the time they finish. All the ordering information is at createbetterwriters.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, the links for the books are in the description. If you can hit the like button, and if you know any teachers who can benefit from better writing instruction, please share the video. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and go create better writers.
createbetterwriters.com